1, 2,
3,
4,
5,
6.
7.
The Cajun culture, though diverse and full of variety, can be summed up with 3 simple words. Those are family, food, and fun. The origin of the Cajun people is that they were descendants from French immigrants who settled in Nova Scotia, Canada. They were called Acadians, which became shortened to Cajun. They lived peacefully there from 1632 to 1755 until what was called Le Grand Derangement, or the Great Disturbance. This was Nova Scotia in 1632. They were forcibly removed by the British during the French and Indian War, and they moved to Louisiana, and this is how it appeared in 1765. They then settled in America at that time. They were not sent to Louisiana, although that is a common misconception. They were relocated there by the French colonists, and that was the land that they were given. Joseph Broussard led the first group of 200 Acadians to Louisiana in February 27, 1765. By 1765, over 3,000 Acadians had migrated to Louisiana, as Wikipedia tells us. This is modern day Louisiana as we know it today. The language of the Cajun people is nowadays Cajun French, which is very similar to the French language, and many fluent speakers of French would be able to understand everything they say very easily because there's only few differences in what they have to say. Most of it is through evolution or borrowing from other languages. One of their big sayings, which I'm sure I will butcher because I don't speak French, is "Les on les bon temps rouler," which means let the good times roll. Food is an important part of the Cajun culture as well. It's actually the heart of many of their gatherings and get-togethers. The heart of their food is French cuisine. It goes back all the way to France in the early 1700s. It's made different by the way the Acadians were forced to live with their sparse resources. A lot of their food was most of what they gathered, they sold the best and were able to consume the worst, just enough to live off of. Much of their food is full of rice, which is easy to gather, it's cheap to get, and very filling. They use the cheapest cuts of meat for what they eat, often liver, tougher meats, and even bottom feeders from the swamps. They eat a lot of stews and soups that can be spread further for their family gatherings. One big discrepancy is the Cajun versus Creole, as you can see here, argument, which is which is better, Cajun food or Creole food? Most people don't even know the difference, but the reality is Creole food is inspired by the Creole people, which come from a blend of Spanish, African, German, and Italian people. Their food tends to have more tomatoes, it's a little bit brighter food, full of more vegetables, whereas the Cajun food is often more brown. It's thickened with roux, which is a combination of oil and flour, cooked to the point of burning, or right up to the edge of it, which is what they use to thicken most of their foods, whereas the Creole people use a lot more tomatoes and that type of thing. Another thing that's very important to the Cajun people is their music. It was brought to the Cajun culture by the Acadians in 1755, and it was a major source of their storytelling through song. Usually they just use the fiddle and then hand clapping or stomping for rhythm. They changed in the 19th century because they became influenced by the African rhythms, blues, and the Native American music. The evolution of Zydeco came about in the early 19th century, which is a blend of cheap instruments such as washboards, spoons, and accordions, fiddles, and horns. That's a modern day Zydeco band. Don't they look rad? Celebrations is big. Mardi Gras is one of their biggest celebrations, which is French for Fat Tuesday. It's used to celebrate their indulgences before Ash Wednesday. It's a major festival even now to this day. It was brought to us by Iberville in 1699. It's a celebration of gluttony, food, alcohol, and partying, and it's become very sexual and adult in nature as it's gone forward. Ash Wednesday is the day after Mardi Gras or Fat Tuesday, and that's the beginning of Lent, when they go and get their ash on their forehead and begin their time of penance. Everything is a reason for a party to Cajuns. Everything, every Saturday, every Sunday, every time they get together is a reason to get together and have fun with one another. Strong sense of community. The neighbors get together all the time. If somebody has a good day fishing or hunting, they all come together and party at the end of the day. It's their land and they know how to live off of it. They take a lot of pride in their hunting and fishing abilities. It's their land and they know how to rebuild it. They've been through many hurricanes and natural disasters and have always come through stronger. They maintain much of their family connection through Catholic Mass and Sunday family dinners. It's always important to get together for Catholic Mass, but it's just as important to get together for Sunday family dinners, as my wife, who is a proud Cajun, has told me many times. The Cajun people are a happy people. They're full of pride in their culture, and they are constantly just living in a place of celebration, even despite their troubles. Anybody have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
You talked about Creole and Cajun people. What is the differences in culture between Creoles and Cajuns?
Well, the Creoles, they're majorly influenced by African as well as Spanish and English descent. The Cajun people, it's mostly just French and English. So it's just kind of that outside culture coming in. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yes.
You talked about how they know how to live off their land. Do people really hunt alligators?
Yes, they do. If you've ever seen the show Swamp People, I'm sure you've seen them killing many alligators. They actually take great pride in their ability to live off the land, capture their own food, hunt and gather themselves, not needing other outside resources. Anyone else?
Yeah, I got a question. Earlier you stated in your speech that people of Louisiana have pride in the difficulties of their ancestors, and they see themselves as unwanted outcasts. Like, why is that?
Yeah, as we talked about in the beginning, through their early culture, just constantly being thrown out, first out of France, then out of Nova Scotia, then being sent to Louisiana, which was a place that was foreign to them, and had been a place full of natural disaster. They really take pride in their ability to live off the land, rebuild the land, and be proud of what they create. So that's it. Thank you, everybody.
That's a good time.